It is Wednesday, November 9th, and the Give and Go show is back in your life. We took about a week or so off, potentially in prep for the midterms. Who's to say? Midterms are wrapping up right now, so the show is back. My name is Griffin Queen. As always, I'm joined by Matt Modi and Matt Ferentinos. Good
What
to see you
up?
guys again.
Yo, Bote. It was very important.
Yeah, I got my sticker. This is, I think, what is this? We turned 18 in 2010. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time that I voted, and it's the first time that I've ever actually taken the sticker. And you
Oh,
get
Really?
to,
really?
yeah,
Every
I
I
don't
didn't
know
know
time
that.
why.
they
I didn't know
ask you
that
to take the
people
sticker,
were
and it's a
allowed.
sticker.
I don't know that people were allowed to vote and not post it on social media that they got a sticker. I didn't. Did your vote count all those years
I
without?
don't know. I mean, I would
Yeah.
hope so. I'm sure there's a way to look that up.
I mean, I've been conditioned ever since a kid. If you do something and there's a sticker, you take it. Like doctor's
Right.
office, like you love getting stickers from there. So, like, yeah,
I would
when I
always get the
vote, I'm like, I want a
lollipops, but
sticker.
I had to
Lollipops
ask
would be
them
nice too.
for a
yeah.
sticker. I had to ask them for a sticker because I had to do a provisional ballot, and we're going to get into the weeds on this a little bit before we talk about basketball. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, thanks for joining us. Click like, click subscribe, comment below, all that stuff. But I had to do a provisional ballot because I'm still registered as a DC voter rather than a California voter because I don't have a California ID yet because I'm lazy. Which not a problem. They'll still count my vote as a California vote, but it means that they're going to have to like mail it in and all that. And so I had to go through an entire process that took me between like two or three different people over the course of about a half hour. And then I had to hand my ballot into them at the end rather than submitting it the way everybody else was. And I was like standing there waiting for her, the woman that I handed it to give me a sticker. And she's just like looking down, like blowing me off. And I'm like, could I could I have a sticker? Like, I don't, I feel like a child asking you this. I'm a 30-year-old man, but like, I really want a sticker.
But I would like one.
I would really enjoy a sticker. If you have like lollipops, I'll take that instead. But my
Yeah.
preference would be for a sticker.
Yeah, it
And
was.
so had to throw it up on social media as one does because we're all social media obsessed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
thought it was a good voting process. I was proud of my specific area, like just district, I guess, for making it easy. It was right at the middle school. Went and got some coffee before. I didn't just do straight Democrat ballot. I wanted to see all the individuals and vote based on that, but I did end up voting
did
mostly
you end up
D.
and straight Democrat anyways?
I go D and then I go woman and then I go also minority as well, if I could tell by the name, which I guess
Dude,
I don't.
that's
Yeah, that's kind of how
racist.
I do it. If I think there should be more minority and women representation, so that's kind
Sure.
of my default. Which I
Yeah.
guess I should research a little more because it could be like a terrible person that it's by the individual and their policies. But generally, that's kind of how I like to vote. Just more representation, the better it is.
There's a website that I used a few weeks ago, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it super quickly in
I wish I could have
my.
voted to legalize a plant in Maryland. By the way, I
Sure, they
apologize if
did
I
though.
That
They
didn't.
did
passed.
legalize it.
It
It
Yeah,
did.
passed.
it passed.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it like decriminalized or is it like legal?
No, I think they're legalizing recreational marijuana. I mean,
That's cool.
it's still up to the federal government though. That's the whole problem with like a lot of places that like the federal government can still
Well,
choose
that's
to penalize you if they so choose.
yeah, like some businesses will open, but I'm sure not a lot.
Right.
It'll be like cash only still because banks
It
won't lend
usually
on it
takes
if
a
it's
little bit
not
of time to
federal.
roll that stuff out. So there was a website. I found it really quickly in my email called I Side With, where basically, and you guys may have done something like this. It's like a polled quiz based on your opinions on a number of different topics, and you can
And
like you
tells
can
you who
kind
to
of,
vote for.
it's not just like yes or no. Like you can expand on your answers. You can submit your own answers. You could either answer like two questions about like healthcare, or you could answer like 20. And so I went through and it tells you like how in line you are with a lot of people for A, your own elections, and then B, like future presidential elections. So that was super helpful for me like a week ago in terms of planning who I wanted to vote for, particularly like judges, because circuit
Yeah,
judges, like nobody knows who they're going to vote for unless they're super dialed into like the politics of their local area.
I should have done that. There was a lot of like random unopposed people that ran, and
Yeah,
I wish I had a little more research, but I went to California last week, didn't do my best research. Not a good
sure,
excuse, but
sure.
still made it to vote. That was important.
Yeah, I just Googled it. Ours were like, do you want to oust this judge or not? And I just Googled, do I want to do this or not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to do a little bit of research. But yeah, it was a seamless process for me. It was like 5 minutes from my house. I got registered in Colorado, so was able to do that with relative ease. So yeah.
We had sports betting in two different propositions on the ballot for
Ooh.
California. And
Yeah.
one of them got beat pretty badly, and one of them got obliterated.
Yeah.
Like 90-10. I'm sure, Moda, you probably saw this
For
morning.
no?
For no, yeah.
no, they're not allowing
Damn.
it.
Yeah.
Like literally millions of votes against it.
Yeah.
I
Someone
wonder
at work said it's never going to pass just because of like you can do it in person at like casinos, which are all owned by like Indian reservations, and they're just
Yeah.
never going to come to an agreement to do it mobily. Like I don't know, like because Colorado had the same issue. I don't know like how they were able to figure it out, but just that it's never going to happen in California.
Yeah, I'm not in the loop enough about it. And truthfully, you know, as much as I do enjoy sports betting, and I don't want to like get in trouble since I do work with a sports betting company that Modai is with as well, I don't care that much that it's not in California. Like, it's probably healthier for me, to be honest, if I'm not betting on things all the time outside of like side bets that I have with my friends. So
Wizards
for
team.
me personally, like I voted for it. I'm
why.
happy for it to pass. But you know, getting beat, I was like not that surprised because it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of support behind it.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice. Ajay would have made a ton of money if it passed.
Yeah.
Like a whole new
Yeah.
state opened up for them.
The
But
biggest state.
yeah, not even a whole
Yeah.
new state, the state.
Yeah. 40 million potential users, 35 million, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
it's legal in
I'm glad we all did our civic duty. Look at us.
Nice. And I
Yeah.
just realized that the Nets and Knicks are playing tonight, so I'm pretty juiced about that.
They are. And every NBA team took off yesterday.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was cool. Yeah. Every single team played on Monday. So it was our first day with all 15 matchups. And then yesterday, everybody took off
back to
because they have
backs.
their like NBA gets out to vote initiative or whatever they were calling it.
Actually,
That is cool.
is that really the first day that every single NBA team has played? Because I thought they all play at the end of the year. Because if there's like playoff implications, seeding and stuff, they don't want like one team to have an advantage.
They'll do it again. I mean, this isn't the only time it's going to happen. This is just the first time this season that every team played.
Okay. Because
Like
I saw that and I was like
day two of the season, you know, like 12 teams played because 4 teams played day one, and then
yeah,
you know, stuff like that. But this is the first one where there were all 15 potential matchups, and so it was NBA from like 4 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Eastern until like 1 a.m.
Did you end up checking out that like red zone type stream? I wish I could have. I was like traveling the entire time. I saw a little bit of the Nets Mavericks at like halftime when I was touchdown in New York, but
I
didn't
did.
see, like, any of the game.
What did they call that? What was the name of that?
basically like red zone. I forget the name.
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
the red zone for the NBA. Yeah, it was fine. You know, like it's definitely going to be like a work in progress on their end while they try and figure out how best to time these things. It was nice. There were times where, and this is also kind of the thing with basketball because it's so fast paced. Like if you have 4 games going on the same screen at one time on one TV, there's just like a little bit too much noise, particularly if there's also like stats and commentary from people that are not actually specifically commentating one of those games. And so it's just kind of hard to like follow the plot of what's going on in any of the games. But there were times where there were maybe 2 games or 3 games where it was a little bit easier. There were times where they moved over to one game because, you know, it was like a 6-point swing or something like that with like 2 minutes to go. I like the idea. I hope they continue to put work into it and, you know, have different commentary teams for it. But we'll see where it goes.
It's too fast paced. Like NFL makes sense because like there's so many commercial breaks and there's like plays in between drives. Basketball, I don't know if it'll ever be as like clean. I mean, it definitely will never be as clean. I just wonder if they could even get it to a viewing experience that doesn't feel like totally chaotic. Trying to do it like red zone.
I don't know. And I'm saying this as a guy that's currently on an NBA podcast. I don't necessarily know if there's quite a market for this the way that there is for the NFL. Like the NFL,
every game's played on Sunday.
Teams, yeah, it's every team. Almost every game's on Sunday, and then you have a couple on Monday and Thursday or whatever. But if you're a Ravens fan and you like football, you're still going to watch a Broncos game, and you're still going to watch a Raiders game, and you're still going to watch a Chargers game, and you're still going to watch an Eagles game. And it doesn't really matter if the Ravens are not playing in that game. Whereas like not to the extent that baseball is a local sport. Like Nuggets fans aren't necessarily going to tune in for a Lakers game, and they're not necessarily going to tune in for a Wizards game. Like, I don't know if there's as much crossover except for like, the big TNT nights where it's marquee matchups. On
Yeah,
a
or like
random
Christmas Day.
Monday night, do people care about watching 15 NBA games? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, even from like our own experience, I'll make it a point to watch Sixers games when I can, and then I don't, and then like I barely watch any other NBA until football season ends, basically.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, it's an 82 game commitment. Watching just your own team, you're going to
It's a
watch
lot.
about as much as you're going to watch football throughout the year, just
Yeah.
for your own team in basketball.
Yeah. So like if I have like the house to myself, I'll like throw on a game that I'll like be paying 40% attention to while I'm kind of just like messing around. But yeah, I won't sit down and watch a game until the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes. I know I will continue to check it out because I'm a fucking nerd and I really love watching the NBA. Honestly, if they had it for like the G League, I'd probably watch that too because I have something broken in my brain.
I'm such a nerd. I love sports so much. I'm just such a nerd.
Yeah. Bunch of stuff to talk about in the league, kind of over the past couple of weeks since the last time we talked. The Bucks finally had their first loss to the Hawks the other night.
Hawks, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of teams that are right behind them in the ranking. It's crazy that the Bucks started 9-0 and there's still a bunch of teams that are within one game of them in the rankings right now. Cavs are right there. I think Celtics are right there. Hawks are right there.
Yep.
Yeah. It's, there's a lot of hot starts in the East. And then there's teams like the Pistons and the Magic and the Hornets that don't look like they're playing NBA basketball.
The Magic have lost a lot of close games, to be fair, but they have lost them all.
Pistons have too. Pistons have some results that look worse than they are because they were within like 3 points with like 4 minutes to go and then shit the bed. And then they lose by 12.
Yeah, I will say the Pistons have the worst net rating in the NBA at this point in time. Granted, like even 3 weeks into the season or whatever, the net rating is still a little bit noisy.
Yeah.
It's like such a little slow sample size. It's still kind of, but yeah, I mean,
you get blown out one game by 35 points and you're probably mid to end of.
Yeah, it drops. Yeah.
I mean, you're dropping so far.
But like the teams at the bottom make sense. Like it's Pistons, Rockets, Lakers, Spurs, Hornets, Magic, Wizards are up there, unfortunately, but
they are.
You just like breeze by Lakers and then you say like, oh, unfortunately the Wizards.
Well, because like
the Lakers are just a given.
Well, the Lakers are 2-8, so it's like, yeah, they stink. The Wizards are at least have like a respectable record at 5-6. So like they could, like the Sixers are the 11th ranked.
The Lakers are tied. if they played one more game and lost it, they'd be tied for the worst record in the league. So the Wizards being 5-6 or 4-5 or whatever it is comparatively pretty good. They're in the same category, like you said, the same category as the Sixers. You're in the same category as the Wolves.
Better than the Heat, better than the Warriors.
The Spurs, who had an incredible start, you're in the same boat as them. Same thing for the Thunder. Like the Thunder and the Spurs, people were talking about them for a while about how good they were. They've fallen back to earth. Spurs are on a 4-game losing streak.
Is anyone going to
3-game losing streak?
One team that hasn't fallen to earth? Will anyone catch the Jazz out west?
Oh, yeah. I have actually caught a number of Jazz games. It's incredible that they're in the 1 seed right now.
I wish I put a future in last podcast when I made that prediction.
You could have got
the Jazz and the Cavs are looking good.
The Cavs is understandable because they're actually a good team. The Jazz, I mean, you're just waiting for them for the shoe to drop. But yeah,
Jazz are a third of the way to their win projection. I think they're set to hit their win projection by like end of December.
That's insane.
Which is, look, that being said, this is very similar. And the Jazz are a more talented team than last year's Wizards team. But last year's Wizards team did have a lot of genuine NBA pieces on it. Last year's Wizards team started, I think, 9-3 or something similar to that.
10-2 or 9-3, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And then they did not hit their win projection for the season until 1 week prior to the end of the season. So, you can start off with these crazy hot streaks and then they can fall back to earth real quick.
Yeah, the NBA is weird. Like this happens every year where a team starts off crazy. Like the Warriors are 4-7 right now. They're probably going to win 50 games, like assuming they're probably going to win 50 games. I'll never forget the Al Horford year. The Sixers started 5-0 and looked like the best team in the NBA when they had Al Horford. And like, it was clear that it was like, they couldn't do anything offensively, that the other shoe was going to drop. But the beginning of the season, you always, it's like, I mean, one game in the NBA is worth like 3 NFL games. So it's like right now, like basically 1 week into the NFL season.
4. It's worth
Yeah,
4
something
like
NFL
that.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
More than that, 5. 17
It's-
NFL games? 16 or 17 NFL
Six,
games?
17 now.
yeah.
What's 82 divided
Yeah.
by 17? I'm not good at maths. We have calculators for a reason.
4.5, we'll say. 4.7.
4.8, so closer to 5.
Ah, I was close.
So talk to me in 2 weeks, then we'll be 1 week through the
Yeah.
NBA season.
Yeah, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, that's wild to compare them that way. And I mean, obviously it's different because you're far more prone to go on like massive streaks in the NBA than you are in football, unless you're in like a really bad division or something like that. Like the Bucks going 9-0. I guess the comparison in football is really only going like 2-0. But like that's
Just
not a
wild.
great comparison because
It's
9-0 is still winning 9 straight games. Like it's
Yeah,
still
it's
crazy
yeah,
impressive.
it's well, like the Eagles are 8-0. They're 40-0 if you
Yeah. At that point, they would have beaten the Warriors record some time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
All
we
right,
do it
yeah.
for baseball.
What's the longest in baseball? 21? 20.
Is with the Astros or not? I mean the Athletics.
The Athletics streak that was
Billy
for
Bean.
the AL record. Do they have I don't know if the NL record is longer than the AL or if the AL is like the overall record as well, but I think that was 20 games. And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's beaten that since then, to my knowledge. And I doubt anybody will. I mean, with the way that, pitchers have changed and like everyone kind of accepts schedule losses at this point. Like,
Yeah.
the only team I could see beating that is a Dodgers team that is still going to get blown out in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's some baseball records that will like with pitchers specifically that will never ever get broken. And like Ty Cobb, I think.
Yeah, no one's ever going to pitch that many innings again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, even guys that are rolling like
Cal
7
Ripken.
perfect innings are not going to be left in for the entire game unless somehow they're only at like 70 pitches. If you're at 7 perfect innings and you're at 85 pitches, you might not go out for the 8th. Like that's how baseball management has changed.
Never forget, we were probably in middle school. Johan Santana threw, I think, a perfect game at like 135 pitches. And then his elbow was just toast after that. But they were like, we have to get him his perfect game.
Yeah.
For the Twins, he was so nasty.
Yeah. Twins and then the Mets.
Yeah. To the point about the Jazz, though, what do we think is going to happen to them? I mean, like clearly I just made the comparison to the Wizards from last year. So I don't necessarily have faith that they're going to be able to keep this up. I think they're going to be better than their projected record. But I still don't know if I could look at that team and say this is going to be a 500 team by the time the playoffs get here.
The Wolves
I think
are
a lot of them are
frauds.
overachieving.
Wolves are frauds. Warriors have their struggles. Dame already got hurt. I mean, I think
Dame's
we're
back
seeing
at
the
least.
pieces. We're seeing the pieces for like some surprise team in the West to come on top, and they're still playing well. I mean, all the same reasons I said a few weeks ago. Like nothing has changed for the Jazz, and they've still beaten good teams, with the exception of their last one against the Lakers. That was an easy one for the Jazz. Yeah. But there's
are the Wolves frauds? Are we saying that at 500 2 weeks
Rudy
into the
Gobert
season?
is terrible on the court. The Wolves play better without him. I mean, Cat is not going to be that guy to take the step. I think
Anthony Edwards
he's just not doing anything off ball. He's kind of playing lackadaisical. Like, I mean, you're already seeing the frustrations there. Winning can change it, but D'Lo hasn't been as great either. I know a lot of
because D'Lo's not good.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. He's not obviously he's incredible compared to the average human being, compared to the average NBA player. But he is not a winning player in basketball. He is not built to do what a team like the Wolves need to do. He is built for a 35-win Kings team.
Yeah, he's the perfect example of good stats, bad team.
Like he's basically the same guy he was on the Nets and the Lakers. A lot has changed.
And the Nets, which was a fun team, were like 500, and that was
they were like a 5 or a 6 seed, and they were a ton of fun, and it was a youth movement, and I really enjoyed that team. But nobody was looking at that team and saying this team is an actual
we're afraid to see
contender.
them in the playoffs.
They've got athleticism, they've got shooting, but they're not that good.
They lost to the Sixers in 5, and one of those games Embiid didn't even play. So if you lose to the Sixers in the playoffs without Embiid, then you're not a real team.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think the Wolves are still probably going to get it together. I think moving D'Lo is the move, although I don't think that's going to happen because of his friendship with Cat, which I hate this whole, like building teams with your friends, particularly that Cat wanted to build a team with D'Lo as opposed to Devin Booker. Like,
Yeah.
gun to my head, I'm taking Devin Booker 13 times out of 10.
I'm sure
I
they.
think the dumbest thing they could have done is what they did and trade for Rudy Gobert. Instead of being like, hey, Cat, play defense. No, we're going to trade for, like, when has having 2 7-foot centers ever worked, especially when Rudy Gobert can't do
the
anything
Spurs.
offensively? Was David Robinson and Tim Duncan?
David Robinson and Tim
Yeah.
Duncan. Yeah.
Yeah, if we
I
go
would say
back to
that
the year
worked.
2000 and 1998, maybe this team could work. But even
And
like
if-
the
When it works to
Wembanyama-
such a degree that you literally get a nickname for how well it worked, and they call you the Twin Towers, then that's pretty good. But
Yeah.
neither
team-
one of them,
yeah.
look, neither one of these guys is David Robinson, much less Tim Duncan. Karl Anthony
Exactly,
Towns
and-
is in the same boat as D'Angelo Russell. He's not a winning player. He does not impact the game the way that he's a much like DeMarcus Cousins. They don't impact the game the way that their stats indicate that they do.
He's like a Kevin Love, basically the same thing. And
I would have taken Kevin Love over the majority of the iterations of Karl Anthony Towns that I've seen at this point.
He's a good
if
offensive
Kevin Love
player.
had the teams that Karl Anthony Towns has had in Cat's 7 years in the league or whatever it may be, Kevin Love would have gone farther.
I mean, have the Wolves really had, like, they had one good year with Jimmy Butler when they were the 8 seed because he was hurt, but like those Wolves, I mean, I'm not defending Cat because I think, like, I am absolutely anti-Cat, but the Wolves have been terrible for like his entire career. I mean, he's part of that for sure, but the team has also been terrible.
Kevin Love dragged him to 500. Karl Anthony Towns never even got close.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but anyway,
this is fat Kevin Love, to be clear. I don't want current Kevin Love on
vegan Kevin Love.
Fat Kevin Love is the fucking man. Vegan Kevin Love is incredibly attractive, but
Male
not
model
as
Kevin
good
Love.
at basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm sure he prefers current Kevin Love, but in terms of like basketball ability, when he could actually bang down low in the post, he was a monster.
That would be so cruel if like somehow he was on a package to get like sent for LeBron and he didn't get to experience these Cavs teams.
Oh,
I mean,
that's what happened to Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins, yeah.
Wiggins got sent. And do you remember how LeBron went back to Cleveland and he talked about all the players that he wanted to play with and he didn't mention Wiggins? And everyone was like, oh shit.
See ya.
Yeah.
Remember when the Warriors almost traded Klay Thompson for Kevin Love, and then I think Bob Myers was, or was it not Bob Myers? It was who's like the legend that spent time, the Lakers legend that spent time.
Oh,
name is escaping me. This is
the
terrible.
logo.
Yeah,
Jerry West.
yeah,
Jerry West.
yeah. It was basically like if you do this, it'll be the worst mistake you ever made.
Yeah.
And they're like,
You
okay,
know who else they almost traded Klay Thompson for?
who?
Bradley Beal.
Really?
Yeah.
When was that?
During Bradley Beal's first year in the league, I think. And as
That's
much as I like Bradley Beal, particularly his first few years in the league when he actually started getting healthy, Klay Thompson next to John Wall may have legitimately made us into a contender.
I didn't know that was ever even rumored. I remember the Kevin Love thing has been like widely reported on. I never knew that. I figured like Brad Beal is just going to stay in Washington and lose 45 games a
Pretty
year.
sure, if I remember correctly, it was the Warriors reaching out about it, not the Wizards. I could probably find it, but
because wasn't the same thing.
They were not crazy high on Klay Thompson.
No, they
from minute one.
It was the same thing with Kevin Love. They were like actively reaching out and trying to like package Klay to upgrade their team.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, he is the kind of guy that fits so many places because of his defensive ability and his shooting, where, you know, if you think you already have enough shooting as a team, and that Warriors team didn't know that they were going to contend the way that they did, you know, if you're trying to get guys that have a little bit more versatility that can put the ball on the floor or something like that, which Bradley Beal can do better than Klay Thompson. I understand the logic of the trade prior to being a championship winning Warriors team.
Yeah, it wasn't until they like benched David Lee for Draymond.
Draymond.
And they were like, holy crap, like what did we just stumbled into? Like that was like they lucked into that.
The Warriors have seemingly lucked into a lot of things to the point where I'm just like, this can't be luck. You guys are just smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah, that was luck. The Draymond thing specifically was,
yeah. Because it required David Lee, I think, to be hurt.
He was, he had like a huge
otherwise
contract.
He would not. It wasn't like he got benched because he was playing poorly.
Yeah, he was hurt, and Draymond came in and they were like, holy crap, what did we just stumble upon?
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So Modi, back to the Jazz question. You think they're for real, or you think that they're going to
I think that they're at best a play-in team.
Okay.
So
we're gonna say 7 to 10 seed. That's still like a 500 team, maybe a little bit above, a little bit below.
Yeah, still significantly. Like I think we do have to recalibrate our preseason expectations a little bit at this point.
Sure.
Granted, it's only 12 games, whatever. But yeah, they look good, and I think I'd say probably closer to like 9-10 than 7-8. But I would still cap that as their ceiling.
Yeah. On the other side of the Western Conference, we're not going to talk about the Lakers. I don't want to talk about the Lakers, but on a team that we were all saying was the best team in the West and was the team to beat, and blah 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 blah. The Clippers are 6-5. Where are you guys out on the Clippers right now? Kawhi Leonard out
Kawhi's
again,
injury.
potentially again, may never play again.
Yeah, so I don't know if I've just missed it, but did he re-injure his knee? Because at first I thought it was just like, oh, it's just like
this is a separate injury from his previous injuries. This is ACL this time, I think.
Well, that's what it was. He missed all of last year with an ACL.
Right, but it's separate from the degenerative
the quad
tendonitis stuff that he has in his quad. Yeah.
Right.
Like this is something that they had said was corrected, but now it's clearly not.
So this is related to the ACL, not the
quad.
Not the quad. But okay, but it is. That's what I was wondering. It is. Yeah. It's not a new injury. It is related to the ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean, he's already had like we talked about the quad issue. ACL is like not a death sentence, but like it's seemingly as though NFL players can come back from that easier than NBA. For I guess like NBA just running, jumping, different stress on your knees.
2 to 3 miles a day on hardwood.
Yeah, Kawhi never relied on his athletic ability, but you probably do need your ACL intact to play professional basketball. So it's definitely a concern.
Yeah. Ferentinos, thoughts on the Clippers and Kawhi?
Yeah, obviously with Kawhi, that's terrible. Kind of is looking like I would put money on that he's just done and not going to play another game or trying to keep coming back and never being the same guy.
The rest of his career?
Yeah. This season, or maybe to sit out another season, but then at that point, it's at like 3 years that Kawhi hasn't really played consistently.
And then the contracts
on the court. Yeah.
The contracts start to get a little bit dicey because they sign these contracts so that they're all in the same time frame. That championship window is closed at that point. Like you've got maybe 1 year to get healthy guys out there and they're all on the wrong side of 32, 33.
It's like they could still make the playoffs if Kawhi can come back for the postseason, which is interesting. And then they're that talented too, or even if you're like the 7-6 seed, like I still wouldn't want to see the Clippers in the first round. I know that Luka doesn't like seeing the Clippers.
I was going to say, especially the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
I don't know. This could be the year for a revenge series. Who's to say?
Yeah, the way the Mavs are playing, and Josh Green was killing it the other night against the Nets too. But KD doesn't get the announcer jinx. It's like he's made 62 straight free throws, and then
somebody saw that on our NBA yesterday.
Yeah.
We always put last 3 games I've seen against the Nets and Mavericks. It's come down to like the last. Dinwiddie beat us with a buzzer beater at the end of last season.
Yeah,
and then
I remember that
brutal games.
Dinwiddie had like 2 straight buzzer beaters. Like he had on an East Coast trip. I think the Nets and the Celtics in back-to-back games.
Yeah,
I think
he also had a couple when he was a Wizard at the start of the season that really kind of sold us on the false hope of Dinwiddie being like kind of our tandem guard with Beal of the future. He had like 7 or 8 games to start the season where he was just incredible. And then the wheels came off so quickly. Like he started chucking grenade passes to guys at the end of the clock. He was taking deep threes out of motion. He wasn't playing defense. It was like he was like literally a different player than he was the first 2 weeks with the Wiz. Is very weird.
He's always been kind of a head case. Like everybody says Dinwiddie's the type of guy who thinks he's like to a lesser degree, like
Bitcoin Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
To
a lesser Iron Man suit, Dinwiddie too. Doesn't he want to make an Iron Man suit?
Did he say that?
Yeah, with all of his
For
money.
what purpose? For what purpose could he want to make an Iron Man suit?
Yeah. So
climate change? I don't know.
I think Dinwiddie's kind of worn out his welcome everywhere he's been.
Yeah. Honestly, I think on the Nets, he was largely fine. It was just that they had opportunities to move him for other players.
Yeah, if he was healthy,
he got hurt. He got hurt. LeVert got hurt. Like there was a bunch of injuries at the same time, and that's part of what killed that youth movement. Is that even that despite them being young players that you would want to see like growth from, they were all having like lower body injuries.
Yeah, what really killed the youth movement was Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted to come to the Nets, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Nope, you're gonna play DeAndre Jordan over Jared Allen."
Yeah, you're
Oh
not
my
gonna. You guys aren't on
God.
the team anymore. We don't really care about trading you. We
Yeah.
just don't want you to show up tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna get Kenny Atkinson fired because he had the audacity to play Jared Allen over the corpse of DeAndre Jordan.
I
Yeah,
do like what
because
Jock
God
Vaughn's
forbid
been
you play
doing
the best
though.
player. What's
Yeah.
up?
I like what Jock Vaughn's been doing. I mean, 2-2, but the
Two-
Nets do like a completely different team with Vaughn
Sure.
and compared to Nash. I mean,
Yeah.
Katie and the kids is also like, oh my God, Ben Simmons was so freaking bad. He's gonna play again tonight. He's just,
Got
I think he
folded
should be,
like a pretzel to,
he's a
to
G,
Luka.
G League player at best.
You
Shout
know,
out to
like-
our defensive player of the year prediction. That one's
Oh my
looking tough.
God, yeah.
He's defensive player of the year against his
Against
own
the
team.
Nets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, maybe we were right.
It's like some of his like non-confidence floaters. It literally like it looks like kids in high school that are afraid to shoot playing in the NBA. Like it's so sad. You would never see that.
He takes shots that I would take when I'm feeling awkward on the court. Like it's not good.
when you don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't
I just
see.
wish someone could have possibly given a Ben Simmons warning.
Yeah. If only there was somebody, or literally millions of somebodies that could have done
Yeah,
that.
not even, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I
But-
guess people would probably think, if it were to come from anywhere, probably don't trust the super aggressive city that no one trusts to begin with. But maybe, I don't know. That's just me. That's just
Hey, I don't know if you watched the World Series. The great story about Alec Boehm. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I don't know. I don't know if I saw the story about him.
I think
Was
there's also
it when
race-
he was talking about how he fucking loves Philadelphia? Because I saw a couple clips of that.
Yeah, so basically what happened, he's a third baseman. He's terrible in the field. One game over the summer, he had like 3 errors in a game, and he got, obviously as Philly does, he got booed. And as he was walking off, you could very clearly see him mutter himself, "I fucking hate this place."
I fucking hate this place, right? Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And then after the game, they interviewed him about it, and he responded like he handled it well. Like he owned it. He didn't try to pretend that he didn't say something else. He was like, "Yeah, like I was pissed. I just had 3 errors in a game, and I was getting booed. So yeah, I was pissed, but no, I didn't mean it." Next at bat, he gets a standing ovation. You can't tell me Philly fans are that psycho. And what happened with Markelle Fultz? Like he missed the whole year because of the shoulder injury. His first game back gets a standing ovation.
Yeah. Look, I'm in a Facebook group with some guys that used to be on a forum that I was on, and it's like a lot of dudes in like I'm definitely one of the younger guys in the group. It's like a sports group. A lot of guys in their 40s and 50s, like married, kids, whatever. And so they're like, the way that they think about sports is very much kind of in the way that we talked about sports in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, where it's a lot less like player empowerment and things like that. Neither here nor there on my point, but just giving you guys a little bit of context. There's a couple guys that are super into Philly, and then there's everybody else that absolutely hates Philly. And the shit that is said about Philly, about how it's like the worst sports fan base or the worst sports town or whatever, is just objectively wrong.
It's
like
remarkably not true.
One of the best sports fan bases, just in terms of the amount of passion that you're getting from fans. Like if I would take, and I hate saying this, I would take Philly fandom over DC fandom every single day of the week.
Yeah,
Because DC fandom is basically not a thing.
It's same thing with Denver fandom. Like so many people that live in these cities that aren't from there that just don't have the same passion.
Yeah, I went to the Rockies wild card game 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was a rainy night, which for Denver at that time of the year, I guess is kind of rare. So I can understand why it wasn't like packed, but the stadium was like half empty and people weren't like, I made more noise for the Rockies than the majority of fans there. And that's not acceptable. Like these are your guys. You gotta rock with them.
Yeah. And the only reason the whole booing Santa thing, it's because he was drunk. And
he was drunk, right?
Yeah. It's another story that makes me so mad. Like, oh, Philly will boo Santa Claus. Yeah, they'll boo.
But it is hilarious. It is hilarious when people say, when people are like, you guys threw batteries at Santa Claus. Like, that's funny.
Are you saying Santa can have an eggnog or two? Come on.
Yeah, or 5 or 6 clearly.
Not when children are sitting on your lap.
Yeah, Santa doing shots at the bar off of some chick's belly button.
Moda, are
Philly
you
about
familiar with
Santa Claus?
Philly legend Steve Jelks?
I actually am not.
Steve Jobs.
What was the
Is that a real person?
the sports data videos?
Oh yeah. Secret Base, John Boyes and those guys. there's a video about like
He has like
one
4
of
homers all time in 7 seasons on the Phillies, and it's about how like the probability of him hitting back-to-back homers is like 1 in 7,000 or something like that. And he hit it in a game where the Phillies beat the Pirates, and it was like the most improbable game in baseball because they were down 10-0 in the first inning. And Barry Bonds is like quoted at the end of the game, Steve motherfucking Jelks hitting 2 fucking home runs. I'd never seen anything like this before, and it was hilarious. And they just
Oh,
did
that's
this like
funny.
huge breakdown, and like on his baseball card, it's like Steve Jelks, the worst player in all time. Like, who has less hits than Steve Jelks and is still a major league baseball player? Like nobody. And it's like, damn. And he like talks about how like there was like tough love in Philly, but
how
like he was literally the worst hitter like ever or something
how
like that. It
bummed are
was
you
crazy.
when like the next pack of baseball cards come out after you make like your rookie debut or something like that, or you're a few years into the league and like your dad goes and he buys a pack because he wants to get your card and he opens it up and it's just savaging his son. He's like, basically, you shouldn't have had a kid at all.
It's almost better if you'd never make it, like if you never make it to the MLB and you just stay a minor leaguer your whole career.
Because if you stay a minor leaguer,
stupid.
you're probably like the best minor leaguer on earth instead of going up and being the worst major leaguer ever.
It's the same thing with like rings culture. Like it's better to not make it to the finals than to make it to the finals and lose.
Apparently,
it's like it's the same thing. It's like, well, actually, your career would have been better off if you just never made it professionally. The whole thing you strive towards for your entire life, and you hit 2 home runs in a game.
Yeah, which is
They
we
brought out,
talked
like-
about that last episode about how people are unfairly penalized for getting second place in the season versus 16th place or whatever it may be.
Yeah. I will say I would have felt a lot better if the Phillies just lost to the Cardinals in the first round of the playoffs because I didn't have any hopes. I hadn't really gotten into the Phillies season yet. And then it got to the point where it's like, I'm going to light myself on fire if they lose to the Astros.
Yeah, I thought about lighting myself on fire when they lost to the Astros.
Watching that,
as much as I don't love the Phillies, first off, Bryce Harper, second off, JT Realmuto, love both of those. But like, I was rocking with y'all 100% at the end there because I was like, yo, NL East dominance. If the NL East goes 3-0 against the Astros, that's amazing.
Still
that part hurts a lot as well. The fact that the Braves and the Nats beat them and the Phillies lost to them, that also makes it a little bit worse.
Now we just need the Mets and the Marlins to get their shit together and somehow match up with. I don't know how the Marlins are going to do it.
I'll say the Mets.
The Mets have a clear path to contendership.
I would bet on the
if they
Marlins.
make a wild card game, they're going to win a World Series because that's what they do.
Yeah, I was going to say I would bet on the Marlins doing it quicker than the Mets because the Mets are forever going to be a joke.
Yeah, law 101 Mets, law Mets.
Yeah,
tough look for them. We've talked about baseball for a while now. Let's get back to basketball talk a little bit.
I'll take the blame.
We actually probably had a good segue into this 5 minutes ago when we were talking about Ben Simmons returning to the Nets, but we did not take advantage of it. So instead, I'm just going to say right now, Kyrie Irving. We haven't talked about this. We haven't talked about the suspension. We haven't talked about kind of the weird terms of the suspension. Ferentinos, I want to hear from you on this. Is Kyrie Irving coming back to the Nets? Is Kyrie Irving going to play NBA basketball again?
I hope he never plays in the Nets. I heard that the Wolves are potential trade partners. So a lot of people were talking about like if they swap Kyrie for D'Lo
back.
Yeah. But obviously I don't think that would be ideal. But I just think like he shouldn't even be on the team. I don't think he should be in the league. I saw something that the Nets kind of designed their like 6-part program, which is just insane. Like if
it's like he's an alcoholic.
If you're in
what
any
he's
other
addicted
job,
to is anti-Semitism.
In any other job that you have, if you like are an anti-Semite, you're not going to get hired back or like even given the opportunity to do this, to jump through these hoops. So I think they kind of designed this based on how Kyrie answered it initially, knowing that he probably won't get this done and won't fill these requirements, and that the Nets have a way to basically say, all right, you're not welcome back to the team. What that's going to mean for their season, it's going to be curious. I mean, like I said, kind of Katie and the kids has been fun to watch. Like their squad has been good. I think the chemistry's been good. It's just been all about really Kevin Durant and running everything through him, which they've been successful from. But if Ben Simmons continues to struggle, his friend is no longer allowed on the team, I wonder what that's going to mean for KD if even Kevin Durant by halfway point of the season is going to be a New Jersey Net.
He's going to get traded. I've felt that before. Kyrie Irving did all this stupid drama. I think even more strongly that he's going to be traded.
Nash is gone. KD's probably going to be gone. Like
the Nets finally made a good move by not hiring Ime Udoka. So that's, they were like, we've had enough bad press, which is surprising to me because I thought they were going to pivot into it.
Well, someone on our NBA said that the Nets made the worst decision of all time because Jacques Vaughn is an awful coach and he was a Magic fan. I guess he did not do well during his tenure for the Orlando Magic. But
honestly,
they got so much
there's
success.
A point
outside.
where there's a point where if this other team suspended this guy for a year and they're specifically not releasing what happened,
oh yeah,
he should not be in consideration for a coaching job elsewhere. Like, I understand that the only thing that matters is winning, but it's not the only thing that matters. Part of the reason why this is a spectator sport is because you mean a lot of things to a lot of people, and at a certain point there is a little bit of a moral obligation to make moral moves in how you go about your business.
Yeah, I mean, there was whispers that some women were going to be uncomfortable with the hiring of Udoka. I mean,
Crazy.
They talked to him like 48 hours beforehand. Yeah, shocking, right?
Yeah.
And I guess there was a lot of pressure. It might have been like external pressure, including internal pressure to not hire this guy, which I think overall is the right move. I mean, I joked about it ironically last week as if, watch them hire Udoka now after all.
It wouldn't be this
toxicity.
Yeah, no one would be this stupid. And then like 20 minutes later, the tweet comes out that he's basically got the job.
I mean, I was a little behind on a lot of news in that day in general, but it was just, Kyrie not being able to apologize for what he was saying, everything going on there. Yeah, I mean, just bringing it back to him, I think the Nets are done with this guy. I think they've been aggressively shopping him to try to find a trade partner. And I don't know if maybe this is part of Kyrie's reason for just going full crazy and just, so because he doesn't want to get traded, maybe. I don't know. But it
looks really bad that I'm like laughing at what you're talking about right now because it's a very serious topic, but Modai is just getting harassed by his dad, and it is cracking me up.
Yeah, my JoJo doesn't know what to do when my girlfriend's not in the house. She's out of the house right now, and she just doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. Raya, we have to put in the crate, otherwise she'd be destroying things or trying to like jump on my lap or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll play NBA basketball again, although I wouldn't be mad
for the Lakers. Do you think?
I don't think so. I know that people are going to bring that back up again because it was. I mean, I would have said if this did not happen and there were chemistry issues on the Nets and they were just losing games the way they were at the start of the season, I would have said the Lakers thing is going to happen. I just don't feel. I really don't think a lot of teams are going to want to deal with this, particularly the years the Lakers are having. Like, yeah, he would help with the talent, but you're already the biggest joke in the league. Is it worth it to bring that much more media attention down on the team? And I think LeBron James is more media savvy than that. And I like to believe that the Lakers front office is more media savvy than that. Minnesota, OKC, Utah, the Wizards, there's a lot of media markets where they can get away with getting Kyrie for some reason, a number of reasons, because no one's going to care about those teams. And the media market is going to protect them. I don't think the Lakers are one of those teams.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that I agree with. But I think the Lakers having like the most typical, like ridiculous train wreck season makes them more likely to get Kyrie because it's basically like, well, like we're already the joke of the league. We might as well at least make our team better while being the joke of the league for a different reason. So you would hope to believe that they're smarter than that, but the reality hasn't necessarily shown that.
On that note, Lakers, a lot of buzz about potential Anthony Davis trades, a little bit of buzz about potential LeBron James trades. You know, I think it's more likely, and obviously I have nothing to base this on because I'm not in their front office. I think it's more likely that they sell pieces off rather than bring new pieces in. Like, I don't think anymore that the Miles Turner trade is going to happen. I don't think the Buddy Hield trade is going to happen. I don't know if the Jazz are going to give up players to them in exchange for picks. I think this is the Lakers roster, or they're going to get rid of guys to go contend elsewhere. I don't think they're getting better.
Do you think they sell AD for a bunch of picks? Like, do you think they could just blow it up?
Who is in the market for
Pelicans?
Who's in the who can get enough out of Anthony Davis, I guess is the question, for it to justify giving up a bunch of picks when we're pretty confident that the next few drafts are going to be like generational drafts.
It has
like the Pacers already had a too big system with Turner and Sabonis, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
And
'cause I feel like
Sabonis
the
was
picks,
far healthier than AD was.
especially next year's picks, the value is gonna. I feel like the value of picks is gonna be very inflated the next couple of years.
Yeah, which is why we thought everyone was going to tank, but seemingly the only teams that are tanking are the ones that don't have their own picks.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Warriors, like I don't know, like it have to be one of probably Draymond, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors did it. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't even know what the
Hey,
Hawks.
Steph, why don't you golf for a little bit, and then we'll get Wembanyama in the lottery next year.
The Warriors might be able to rehab it. I don't know. I mean,
that'd be
Warriors
insane.
give up like Draymond and Wiseman and a pick or something. Did the Lakers do that?
Honestly, they probably have to flip Draymond somewhere else because what would be the point of Draymond being on the Lakers? It's so
right, because his defense has largely fallen off. Although that could be because of locker room issues with the Warriors. Like I don't know if you guys have seen this. He's not calling out plays on the court anymore. Like he's no longer the vocal leader on the court, which is a lot of where his defensive value came from.
Jordan Poole's struggling too.
What's up? Jordan Poole is struggling a ton. Yeah, since getting knocked out. Crazy. I don't like where is their value for Draymond? I mean, everyone always says the Pistons, and that kind of makes sense. Bring him home, have him educate the young guys, have him improve the defense of that team. But then if they're trading it, like who are the Pistons going to want to send to the Lakers?
Yeah, it's like I'm not like an NBA trade machine guy. I just feel like the teams that would want AD are the teams that like haven't won anything yet. That like the Hawks. I don't know what they have to give up yet, but like the Hawks. They trade everything for DeJounte Murray. They could probably upgrade the Clint Capella spot. So they're desperate to do something to get over the hump. Like the Blazers, like Ferentino said, I think are another team that would be primed to give up something for AD just to try to win anything. And then, I mean, the Warriors, I would say, I don't know who else. It's not a long list. I mean, the Mavericks.
I like that you mentioned the Blazers. I hadn't thought about. I never think about the Blazers in trade talks. But if they flipped like Nurkic and some picks for AD,
I mean,
I'm pretty sure they could make the money work because I think Nurkic makes a lot of money.
He does make a lot of money. I mean, that would be the ultimate all glass team with how Dame how he's been recently in AD. But at that point,
but if you get the best version of AD, he's offensively better than Nurkic. Although at this point, that's progressing.
Defensively much better too.
He's so much better.
Yeah.
Like if Nurkic could just learn how to play defense, he'd be an all NBA center, but he's allergic to it.
How about we bring AD back to the Celtics, revisit those talks where his dad didn't want him to go there.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics, I mean, if they move, but I was going to say Robert Williams is another guy that I think he would be a guy they would have to move, and he is another guy with injury concerns, but that would be fun. I think that they're just fine.
I would say he has more than injury concerns. He has injuries.
Yeah.
Robert Williams? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Robert Williams is never going to be a healthy player, in my opinion.
Well, it's not
is
like
too athletic for his own body.
It's not like the Celtics to try and push someone through an injury in the playoffs that makes the injury worse over the course of time and ruins their career. At least there's no precedent of that happening for the Celtics.
They would never do that.
They would never.
The Celtics don't value rings over everything. No one
cries in IT's hip. Oh my God.
Look, man, IT chose to do it. I mean, Robert Williams chose to do it. Like, I'm sure there's internal organizational pressure, and that's a problem. But to an extent, I can't cry for these guys.
I don't know the IT part, but I'm almost positive Robert Williams was told that playing through it wouldn't make the injury worse. And that's literally.
Was he told that?
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's like, and then IT respond. It was like a tweet. IT responded and said, I heard that before.
That's troubling. Yeah. That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
it's weird. It's weird. Like I find it difficult to talk about AD trades because looking at if we're talking about bubble AD, there's not a team in the league that would not want him and that would not give up every asset they have for him. But current AD, who's hurt, whose defense has regressed, whose offense has significantly regressed. What's the value? Like, what are you getting out of it? You're getting a potential. You might get an all-star, or you might get a guy that doesn't take the court.
You're convincing yourself that the issues are like Lakers team chemistry dependent, basically. The injuries notwithstanding, that's obviously a separate category, but you're selling that the reason why he's playing so bad is because of the Lakers are just a total train wreck and like not a winning atmosphere. I don't know. Like I find it hard. I mean, you obviously know better than me, but I find it hard to believe that the Lakers would actually sell. Like having LeBron and AD, I find it hard to believe that they would actually pull the trigger on selling, because then if you sell AD, you have to sell LeBron, because what's the point?
The Lakers never really sell, and that's kind of the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my point.
They cry poor all the time, and they do not re-sign guys that they should because they don't want to engage with the luxury tax, but they would rather let expensive contracts run out than trade them for assets because of the way that it looks when you do that.
Yeah, and the Lakers are like, every offseason, the Lakers are, well, we could sign whoever's the best player in the offseason, we're the Lakers, we could sign them, which is like, has held
Doesn't
true.
happen anymore.
I mean, LeBron's
the only one that it's happened for in recent memory. And it was because of so many other factors for LeBron.
Yeah.
And it was because, they had a bunch of max spots opening up. Like the Lakers could have been the Clippers, could have been the Nuggets, could have been the Warriors, could have been a bunch of teams if a lot of things aligned in the right way.
Well, if they never
the
fired
Lakers
Jerry
obviously
West.
was the best situation for what else he was trying to do. But like they didn't sign Anthony Davis. They had to get rid of the entire war chest to get Anthony Davis. And that's a big part of why they're in the problem they're in now. If they wait 6 months, yes, they don't win a title in the bubble, but they get Anthony Davis for nothing. They
Plus
just pay
those guys.
Well, they had to wait.
All they're doing is paying him.
They had to wait that entire season because he was traded in the off season. So
sure. I mean, like the entire next year.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they get through one more year, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
But then you don't, like
that's
you said,
the
you don't
bubble
get the
championship though.
Yeah.
You don't get
that's what I'm saying. You don't get the bubble championship.
To me,
so
the problem
is it worth it?
100%. Definitely worth it. To me, the problem is the Russell Westbrook trade. Like they still had the post bubble year, they still had a good team that, I mean, injuries, of course, but they were like the 1 seed, the 2 seed that entire year until both LeBron and AD got hurt. Then they were the 7 seed. And then they went up 2-1. I don't need to tell you this, Griffin, but just like they went up 2-1 on the Suns, and then AD pulls his groin. So like the problem was the Russell Westbrook trade. To me, the problem, not the Anthony Davis. Like they built a phenomenal basketball team. After
I would argue it was stuff prior to the Russell Westbrook trade. The Russell Westbrook trade is an indictment on the Lakers. It is a problem, but if they re-sign Alex Caruso, it's not as big of an issue.
Fair.
If they continue to make a play for DeMar DeRozan at the same time that they're making a play for Russell Westbrook, it's not an issue. If they don't get rid of all those guys that they went to the playoffs with that year, like Dennis Schroeder, like Andre Drummond, I still cannot fully figure out, and this is the issue for Lakers fans everywhere. None of us understand why they blew that team up after 1 year of underachieving, after already coming off of, prior to LeBron, 5 years of just being in disarray. Like there was no reason to blow it up so quickly.
Yeah, it was horrible roster mismanagement.
Injury. It's injuries. Injuries were the problem. Everyone that looked at the team during that playoff run said, okay, you got injured, run it back next year with the same roster. You were one of the best teams in the league when you were healthy.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope, we don't want any of these guys anymore.
And look what happened to the Heat that same year. They got annihilated by the Bucks in the playoffs. Like it's no surprise that the two teams that were in the finals that had to play until like October, whatever. Like
they all ran out of gas.
Yeah, they had like a less than 60-day break between the finals and then when the season started.
Start of the season, yeah.
And like they're both like an older team. Like of course your body's going to break down in the condensed season. It was like such an easily explainable reason. And it wasn't like the 7 seed was terrible, but they were the top 3 seed, like I said, the whole entire year, and they were up 2-1 on the Suns. Like I don't know, I'm not a Lakers fan, and it just like I don't know. I just get like so aggressively annoyed at just like horrible management, because it was like
we could talk for an entire episode, and we at this point have across multiple episodes about just Lakers mismanagement in a 2-year span, which is super fucked up. Because like how do you blow this to such a degree? Barentinos, I want to get your thoughts on this. AD, any situations that you think make sense for him? You want to do a KD for AD switch? You want to what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't know what makes sense for the AD trade.
Yeah, I mean, besides the previously mentioned ones, like other Western Conference teams to potentially want to make a leap, I'm just thinking of guys who have picks, and then also teams that kind of want to make a run, but I think they're kind of stuck right now. I'm curious, like maybe the Timberwolves could be another trade partner for them potentially.
3 centers,
some bigs, yeah.
You might as well.
Just get big as fuck. Just 5 big men out there.
Yeah, just get all of his centers.
Yeah,
just see how that's working. But No, I mean, I just think they're kind of stuck for another year. LeBron kind of seems checked out, though. I mean, he's been injured, not really playing, especially with his recent comments on his decline. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of 38 years old. I don't really care. Like, I
38
shouldn't
years
have to care
old.
about this. Like, I think he's kind of just like chalking it up as, yeah, we suck this year. So what? Like, I'm just
His
gonna,
foot's injured, but he said he's
yeah,
playing through the foot injury because he has to. That's not good. You
you
should,
know,
if that's the case, if you're hurt and Anthony Davis is hurt and your third best player
sit out
is
and tank.
a bench
Getting the
squad Russell Westbrook who actually does look good on the bench, then you should just be just fucking let the young guys play, take the year off, come back next year.
And
You'll
that's our
break the Kareem record next year. Like it is what it is.
Like,
yeah.
do you think the Thunder would want an Anthony Davis to sell like tickets? Like, I think they're all in on just getting Wembanyama next year and building around their picks. I don't know if they're the team that would want to trade for a piece like that, but if LeBron doesn't want to stay with the Lakers long term, I think that's a possible option. Is being like, all right, you got to trade AD for picks, and we got to rebuild, and we got to do it fast in the next 2 years.
I don't know. I mean, during the Kyrie era of the Cavs, LeBron didn't want to trade Kyrie. Like he was adamant that he was going to fix it because he wanted Kyrie to have the keys to the kingdom
Mm.
when his time as being the Batman was over. He went to the Lakers, and by all accounts, he had the exact same mindset with AD. He was like, I'm going to win titles with these guys, and then I'm going to take a back seat to this guy, and I'll do what Kareem did with Magic. I'll win a title or two as the Robin. And that's not going to happen with the way that AD looks now. So
No.
do you try a third time? Does he have time to try for a third time? Or if you're LeBron, are you considering, hey, look, here's all these teams that are really nice destinations that have a bunch of picks. I'll go somewhere else and be the number two. I'll go to Denver and play with Jokic. I'll go to fucking Miami and play with the ghost of Jimmy Butler. Like, I don't know.
Return to
A
Miami.
random ass play. I'll go back to Cleveland and play with that fucking great squad.
No,
You just have to understand if you're LeBron that you're not going to be the Batman anymore because he might not be a top 10 player anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. It would be so upsetting to see him take a year off at 38 years old. Like you can't you only have so many of these years to continue to play. So I mean, KD for AD, have AD sit out the year and have the Nets tank for Wembanyama. Why not?
I don't know if they have their pick next year.
The
I'm
Lakers do
curious
not.
if the
Oh, so the Rockets have
The Rockets have the Lakers.
it's a swap, right?
Yeah.
I think whoever's worse.
well, the Nets have the Sixers pick, so maybe the Sixers have to tank for Wembanyama.
It's harder than that. You think AD for Embiid?
God, no. Oh my God.
AD and LeBron James for Embiid.
No.
I don't know, man. That might be a pretty good team.
The Lakers were Embiid's team growing up. He would probably wouldn't hate playing in
The
in
Lakers
LA.
were everyone's team growing up. Like
Yeah,
every
true.
single NBA player was like, yeah, I was a Lakers fan. I was a Kobe fan.
Yeah,
People were
especially
like,
if you
grew
didn't
up
grow
in
up in the United States.
Cameroon. Like, what are
Yeah.
we talking about here?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Kyrie's next team is probably the Shanghai Sharks.
I mean,
You can go play with Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I think Dwight will be back in time for a playoff run. I think he's
Someone pick.
I think he's going to double dip and play with them, and because there's like a 2-week gap between when their playoffs end and around the trade deadline for or not the trade deadline, but like the free agency pickup deadline for the NBA, where I think he's probably just going to get a minimum contract with somebody in like April.
The Nets won't take him because they want a center that shoots. I think that's why they didn't sign him before. Which I think Dwight Howard's a good fit on any team, to be honest. Like
the Lakers didn't want him when he was willing to return for a minimum 2-year deal. Like, you can't play him more than 16 minutes a game, but he gives you a good 16 minutes and he still has defensive talent. And whatever issues you have with Dwight Howard in terms of his personality, he's apparently not that guy anymore. So, like, again, it's mismanagement. Why wouldn't the Lakers do something like that? What's so bad about a 2-year minimum deal? I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Lakers anymore.
I think two teams we kind of touched on, but not like the Warriors and the Heat. Both are 4-7. Both have kind of looked bad. Are we worried about them? What do we think about the Warriors and the Heat?
I'm not really worried about them. You know, Ferentinos, you might feel differently. I think in particular, I'm less worried about the Heat than I am the Warriors. The Warriors, I think there's still stuff going on. I think that there is an actual legitimate fracturing of like the player relationships. I think the Draymond situation needs to be taken care of sooner rather than later. But they still have a lot of talent on that team. You know, there's going to come a time when Kerr stops doing his hockey substitutions that he's been doing recently, which I don't understand why he does when he puts 5 bench guys out there, because he knows that it doesn't work. And it's why they're losing these games. But they would have a much better record if he was doing like normal Steve Kerr substitutions. The Heat, it seems like more of an effort thing. Like they're not playing like the Heat. And I don't know if that's injuries or if it's age or what, but they'll get it together. They always do. It's hard to count against the Heat when it like the biggest issues are defense and hustle, and that's what the Heat like make their bread on.
That's Heat culture.
It's Heat culture. They got the dog in them. Maybe.
Who knows anymore? They lost PJ Tucker and all his dogs.
I guess I'm not really worried about either team either. I guess I'm more curious to see what the Warriors do given the dysfunction that they have, and if they are another team that could potentially make a trade to try to move Draymond, move Wiseman. I know he's like not really the best fit still on their team, so I think there's some moves that they could still make to try to fix everything. And then, you know, with Draymond not there, what's going to happen to Poole? His play will probably get better. I think I'm more interested to see how they react to it, and especially if they continue to struggle. And the Heat will be all right. I think they just had to are on a little tough stretch. When Tyler Hero is one of your best players, it's not good. No, they'll be playing.
Yeah, Hero's a near all-star, man. Go fuck yourself.
I largely agree with you guys. I do wonder, like, is the resolving the Draymond situation just a trade? Like, is that kind of what you had in mind and what you thought about resolving the Draymond situation?
I think that's the only way to resolve it at this point. I think it's pretty broken what's already happened.
Everybody got paid except for him, right?
Yeah.
But it's also, how do you recreate Draymond's effect on the team? So it can't just be a trade for anybody just to get him off the roster. It's, you need a defensive-minded guy that can also ball handle and can also distribute. Like, if he wasn't tied to the Bulls, who'd be fucking perfect? Alex Caruso would do great on this Warriors team, because he does a lot of the shit that Draymond does at a much cheaper cost.
I think Caruso and Bruce Brown would be amazing fits.
Yeah, I think Bruce Brown can score at a higher level than any of those other guys. And
he's good at corner threes now. He's been shooting them well.
Yeah. Yeah,
very upset.
I don't know. I'm sure the Warriors are entertaining offers quietly. It's just finding the right move that's actually going to make the team better, rather than just keep them stuck in that like 500 or below 500 range.
Yeah,
there are limitations on how many more years Steph Curry has.
Yeah, and the thing with Draymond is he's such a unique player. I feel like it's kind of a fool's errand if you think, oh, we'll just like replace like someone that can play, that can guard positions like 2 to 5 and that can distribute on offense. I think you kind of just have to accept that there's going to be a void in whatever Draymond does. But I think to me, they need someone like Kevon Looney's been pretty good for them, but he's not someone they really want playing a ton of minutes in important games. So to me, I think you need someone like a stretch 5.
Right. Well, I mean, that was the hope with, not for the stretch 5 part, but when they were considering trading Draymond and there were rumblings about it, is that Andrew Wiggins would be able to kind of cover the defensive loss of him, because he was turning into this all defense level guy. And, in terms of man defense, yeah, Wiggins is fantastic. But in terms of kind of like directing guys on defense and stuff like that, he's not even a shadow of Draymond.
Yeah. And the thing with Draymond is the way he can play centers is what makes Draymond so unique. Like what he did to Jokic in the playoffs is the only defender that could really do what he did to Jokic.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of potential trades that are going to happen. Obviously we're only 2.5, 3 weeks into the season. So I think the most anybody's played is probably like 11 games. The least anyone's played is like 8. A lot of time to go, a lot of trades that are potentially going to happen. I think as we get closer to Christmas, there's a lot more that could potentially occur, because that seems to be when a lot of teams start to get that buzz going on, like we're contenders or not.
What's the date where you can trade players because that I think is what's going to set everything on fire, is whatever that date is when you can trade players that signed.
January. It's like the second week of January.
I think it's the 15th. So to me, I think we're not going to see a ton of movement until the 15th, because then like a whole new pool of people. Like, I mean, DeAndre Ayton, I don't know if the Suns we haven't talked about them, look incredible, but he's one that could become eligible.
Yeah, funnily enough, another team that I was thinking of for Anthony Davis, because the Suns, like conditioning team, like their strength and conditioning and their just like medical team is the best in the league. They've been the best in the league for a really long time. So if you wanted to rehab a player who you think still has some greatness left in them, Phoenix is a good potential. And it might solve the Ayton problem.
Yeah.
You move off a guy who, even at his current best, is still not as good as current Anthony Davis. He's just healthier more often. Like Ayton's a bit of an Iron Man. AD obviously is not.
Yeah.
So
quite literally not.
quite literally not.
I think Aiden would be a great
That's
fit on the
Dinwiddie's
Lakers.
Dinwiddie's role is to be Iron Man.
He'd be the Iron Man.
Yeah. What'd you say, Matt?
I said I think Aiden would be a great fit on the Lakers. I think they'd be much better with Aiden.
Yeah. I mean, you run into the same problem where he and LeBron occupy a lot of the same spaces, but he's a young guy that's always on the court, who plays really good defense, who can do everything you need within 12 feet, who can stretch the floor a little bit. I mean, he's a better version of Miles Turner.
And the value
Miles Turner
guys
is the guy they wanted.
The value guys that do set screens, like that's they were talking a little bit about on Zach Lowe was listening how like Giannis kind of embraced setting screens and like being that superstar that will be the guy to do that. And not only did he get good at it, or not only does he do it, he's like excels and is amazing at setting screens and cutting to the hoop and just becoming a threat in that way. Or you have like the Ben Simmons who just kind of hands it off and is a piece of shit and doesn't really react or do any movement off ball.
Yeah. But you got to set illegal screens.
That.
You have to. If you want your screens to be effective, you got to shuffle a little bit.
Make the rest.
The Wizards brought Marcin Gortat in a few weeks ago, like at the start of the season, and they put him on like a 10-day coach contract because Gortat was quite literally the best screen assister in the league during the Wall years. They had a 3-year run where they had the most screen assists in the NBA. And you could see the games after, like every single Wizards player was setting illegal screens and getting called on them constantly, like multiple back-to-back possessions of illegal screens. Like, I mean, he clearly taught you guys how to do it, but he didn't teach you how to hide it.
I mean, you gotta like pop the hip out a little bit. Everyone does it.
Yeah. The screen has to interrupt their motion rather than just having something for them to run around.
Yeah.
Like you're interrupting their ability to drive.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys want to chat about? Or we
Chainsaw Man is great, and then as more media, the Weird Al mockumentary biopic or the fake biopic was hilarious. With Daniel Radcliffe, Radcliffe. Highly recommend it.
Quietly shredded Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh yeah,
dude is a fucking specimen. He's like 5'4". No offense, Matt, but he's a specimen.
Hey, he's Harry Potter, right? That's all he needs.
It's true. Well, I'm seeing Black Panther tomorrow. Pumped for that.
You'll have to let us know. I don't know if you guys. I didn't realize it was coming out.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are Marvel people or not.
Yeah, I do enjoy Marvel movies.
When Ferentinos was here for this past weekend, and we were talking about it, just like post Endgame burnout, and like I've watched most of the shows, and I actually don't think I've watched a Marvel movie since Endgame. I watched the Eternals, actually. I did watch the Eternals.
Shang-Chi was the best one. Shang-Chi was
Shang-Chi. I forgot that
Shang-Chi was great.
Eternals. I like that one a lot too. But I haven't watched the newest Thor. I didn't watch Doctor Strange 2. I haven't watched Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man's great.
Behind on Spider-Man. I've heard very differing things about Spider-Man 3.
I mean, it's like
as in the current trilogy you're talking about, right?
Yeah, a lot of people were like, yeah, it's really good when you watch it the first time because it's like all this like nostalgia and it like plays on your emotions and all this stuff. But once you like know what's coming, it's a bad movie. And no, I'm not going into it with that impression. I just haven't watched it because it's not on Disney Plus.
Is Endgame a bad movie, even though you know the payoffs?
Endgame is worse than Infinity War, I would say.
I would
say Endgame does require a lot of like, I'm invested in this for it to be a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, they're both phenomenal. I think Infinity War is like my second favorite movie of all time. Like, I think Infinity War is phenomenal.
It's incredible. It's so good. Also, bearded Captain America. Come on.
I know. Yeah.
Sexiest
man alive. Yeah. Chris Evans. Let's go. I'm really proud of all of us for knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did text it to us now.
I made it my Instagram story.
Chris Evans, the
That's
career he's
America's
had
ass, though.
since
That
not
is
another
America's
teen
ass.
movie.
It's not another teen movie, right?
Oh
Who
my
would've
god,
thought?
yeah.
He's on his second superhero, but third or fourth superhero thing because the Losers
So, yeah,
was a
he was
superhero comic.
he
What's
was
it called? Was a comic.
The
he was in the
Blade or
Fantastic
the
Four.
yeah,
Yeah,
Human
Fantastic
Torch.
Four is the obvious one. Human Torch.
Wasn't he also Flash
Scott
Thompson,
Pilgrim? He was a
Oh,
villain.
yeah.
So good, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, so he's had quite the comic book career. Good for him.
Good for him. It's
Yeah,
like the Natalie
my
Portman.
favorite of the Chris's.
Yeah,
Who's your favorite, Chris?
Actually, yeah, Moda, let's get this from you before we get off here, and then we'll end it for the day. We're not including Rock, we're not including Tucker because obviously they're in the comedic realm more than anybody else. So I'm just going to say these in no particular order, and I'd like you to rank them.
Okay.
Much like how List Night originally came into its inception, and then Ferentinas, you can give yours as well. Although I think I know yours. Evans, Pratt, Pine, Hemsworth, 1 through 4.
Evans is definitely number one. There's a tear gap after Chris Evans, number one. I used to love Chris Pratt, but like the more stuff you hear about him, the more you're kind of like, well, I don't actually know if you're that good of a dude or not.
Yeah, well, his politics don't agree with ours, so fuck him.
And he, like, did you see this whole Instagram about like he's like, you like blessed me with like a healthy son?
Yes, after which is not okay considering.
Not ideal. Either he's like incredibly just negligent or nefarious. Neither of them are good. So he would have been number 2 prior to all this, right? Because Parks and Rec, Chris Pratt was the best.
Fat Chris Pratt was great.
Yeah.
Mr. I think I'm smoldering every time I look at a camera. Chris Pratt, kind of a douche.
Jurassic Park of Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
So he's last. I like Chris Pine. I like Hemsworth, but Hemsworth is number 2. So I'm going to go Evans, Hemsworth, Pine, and then Pratt.
The objective correct order.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Although I think that I've heard arguments for Hemsworth being first.
I
think
Hemsworth,
at one point I think I had Hemsworth.
Pratt, Pine.
Pine last.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I still like
Chris he got
Pratt
spit on by
as much as he's definitely a Jesus freak, and I did like Star Trek. I thought it was great, but that's like all I knew him from, Star Trek. And like
he's got a bunch
I
of
saw
them.
the first movie.
I'll send you some Chris Pine films when we get off this.
Wonder Woman.
You're right. I stand corrected. I did like
The
him.
first one was good.
He was in This Means War, a rom-com.
But again, like
with,
Chris Hemsworth is not going to be
Bane,
the
Tom
number
Hardy.
2 to a Wonder Woman movie. Like Chris Hemsworth stars in his own movie, like Extraction.
You watched Extraction for the first time this past weekend. Don't act like you're like a big Extraction guy. You also called it The Excavation for 2 days.
An underrated Chris Pine movie. Have you guys seen Into the Spider-Verse? He's the voice.
He's
is he the OG Spider-Man?
The one that dies, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I think
that's Matt's favorite Spider-Man movie.
Jim Halpert was also going to be the Spider-Man for that one. I think he was voice cast, but I do love that movie.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
One of my favorites.
It's amazing. That movie's amazing.
The guy
I can't wait for the next one with my guy Miguel O'Hara.
Nick Miller.
Yeah, Nick Miller is the Peter B. Parker, and I think that dude kills it. He's so funny.
I liked
Nick Cage as Spider-Man.
Nick Cage, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I like Nick Cage.
I might watch that when we get off. I haven't watched it in a while.
Good.
All right. Well, we got the orders down. Next time, maybe we'll do the Jessicas, so you can think on that one as well. If you don't know which Jessicas, it's obviously
Theo, Alba, Lawrence.
That's Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
The original order, because this list came together in like 2008,
2005,
was Beal, Alba, and Simpson. Although recently we added Chastain, and some people feel very differently about Chastain than others. So we'll talk about it next episode.
The redhead, right?
Yeah, the redhead.
Yeah,
probably the best actress of the lot.
It's a point in her
I
favor.
think Jessica Rabbit should be up there, but that's a different discussion.
That is a different discussion for our After Dark Patreon podcast that you can subscribe to by going to venmo.com/griffin-queen.
Onlybasketballtakes.com.
Yeah, only basketball takes. Yeah. We will be back probably in the next week or so. If you are still paying attention and watching, thank you for doing so. Click the like button, comment below if there's anything that you want us to talk about or anything that you like that we did talk about, or any takes that you strongly agree with or disagree with. And if you have not done so already, click that subscribe button. I did say that we would be up on Spotify soon. I have not done that yet. I will do it in the near future. And then you'll be able to listen to this instead of watching it. All right.
Yeah.
See you guys next time. Always a pleasure.
Adios. Peace.